We are so excited to welcome you here for our symposium on the future of AI. And I've known you for a number of years now, and I've known you to be as passionate about AI as you are about music. And so I wonder if you can share with us a little bit about your journey in AI and tech. How did you get interested, and how did you come along alongside us?
I got interested in this space here, in this space. In 2005, I came to Boston. Black Eyed Peas were on tour, and I put in on my contact on my address book and on my phone. I always used to, and I still to this day, put in what people do. Like, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm an engineer, or I write songs, or I'm a composer, I'm a choreographer. And I put the city that they're from. It's always just been like a habit, a practice. So there was a guy by the name of Alan Hardstone, engineer from Boston. So in 2005, I'm like bored here in Boston right before a show. We had 2 days off. I'm like, who do I know in Boston? So I typed in Boston, and out pops up Alan Hardstone. I was like, oh, that's right. That's that guy that I met at the studio, that engineer, nerdy dude. Let me see if we could hang out. Maybe he knows something to do in Boston. So I'm like, yo, what's up, Alan Hardstone? I met you back in, I think, 2000. He was like, hey, what's up, will.i.am? I never thought you were going to call me. I was like, well, you told me to call you if I'm ever in Boston, so here I am. He's like, oh, wow. Well, there's lots to do in the city. I was like, hey, so what clubs are popping tonight? He was like, well, I don't really go to clubs anymore, but why don't we meet up tomorrow? I could take you around Boston for brunch. I'm like, cool, great. So I'm like, that next morning, he's like, hey, why don't we meet over at MIT? There's a place that I think you're really going to love. So he brings me to the Media Lab. And so I go to the Media Lab. I'm like, wow, that robot that's in your office, I saw that 2006. And I'm like, wow, what is this place? He was like, yeah, I knew you were going to get a kick out of this. Here, let me introduce you to the guy that changed my life. So he takes me to Professor Patrick Winston's, rest in peace. And Professor Patrick Winston, he used to run the MIT lab. He had your job back in 2006. And that conversation changed my whole entire life. Because in 2006, back when there was AI winter, that really inspired me so much, because I'm a musician because of the computer. I'm not a musician because I play the piano or the oboe or a bass or the drums. I program the computer. And so the engineers, I always wanted to know more engineers because they liberate my creativity. And so that's the reason why when I met Alan Hardstone, I'm an engineer from Boston. I'm like, yo, let me get your phone number. And so when I met Professor Patrick Winston, I asked, so if you're programming AI, which will be the exponential growth of compute, so that means one day I'm just gonna communicate with language to the computer to make music. I don't have to program all these short codes and all this other stuff. I just speak. He was like, yeah, that's the promise. We don't know when that's going to happen. So every year I would come to Boston. 2006, I would come to Professor Patrick Winston's class. 2007, hey, what's up, Professor Patrick Winston? He would come to our shows. He would bring his daughter to the shows. By 2010, we did this video, and it was a gift to Professor Patrick Winston. And in the beginning of the video called I'ma Be Rocking That Body, I come into the studio with a silver briefcase. And I tell to my bandmates, yo, look, I got the future right here. They say, what's that? I was like, this right here is what's going to take the Black Eyed Peas to 3008. So there's a song that we have, I'm so 3008. You're so 2000 and late, right? So that line references my conversations with Professor Patrick Winston. And so I open up that laptop, and the band's like, "Yo, what's that?" I was like, "Oh, check this out." So all the engineers in 2010, the concept of large language models, we didn't have that then. But based on the discussions I had with Professor Patrick Winston, I was like, "Yo, because this machine has the entire English language and all language and machine learning and artificial intelligence, whatever I type into this machine sings it, says it, and performs it." And then the band gets freaked out, like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what about our jobs?" I was like, "Nah, bro, we're still gonna have jobs." And so if you go on YouTube right now, 14 years ago, that video described what is now products like Udio. I said Udio over Suno because I like Udio. but but yeah, so that's how I got into this. So I thank Professor Patrick Winston, may he rest in peace, and this space. This is a beautiful place on earth, MIT, and the field that you inspire these young kids and lead. So when I was asked to come here, I jumped. I'm like, "Yo, what? I am right here, right now, and this is freaking amazing."
In MIT colors, might I say.
Oh, you know I had to rock the colors. Sorry. Sorry.
So, Will, was there something specific that Patrick said during that first conversation, or was it just a general idea that someday we might talk with computers? Or what got you really excited and so passionate?
There was this. Well, I'm a curious person. I love asking questions, and the banter, the ping pong that we had, that first meeting, just inspired me because it's the infinite. Oh, and that means we could. Oh, that means if we. And that means that it would like all of that. So that means if. Wait. So that means that is what got me. It was the only place outside of music where my imagination was exploded. It made everything that we do creatively in music and entertainment look very miniature. Because that means, so that means I could create a creating machine? Well, then why am I over here creating then? If I can create something that creates. So that idea, is why I just fell in love with the field. And I was a part of Beats early on in like 2006. I came back home. 2006 and 7 were the very dynamic years of my life where I would go out and see the world. I would come home, and Jimmy Iving, my mentor, the founder of one of the founders of Interscope and Beats, I came home from tour and I told Jimmy, "Hey, look, let's make our own hardware. They're using our music to sell other people's stuff. Why don't we just use our music to sell our own stuff? Why are we being pimped for other people's stuff?" He was like, "Well, you know why they call it hardware? It's because it's hard." I was like, "Yeah, but we could do it. Why can't you got a nice giggle. Like we could do it. We could do that." And so we started Beats. And when we sold Beats to HTC, I took my earnings. I went to Bangalore, Singapore, and adopted some teams, these skunkworks. And when we sold Beats to Apple, I went to Tel Aviv and adopted other teams and kept growing my engineering team because I knew Silicon Valley wasn't going to take me serious. Silicon Valley is super like, you know. So those places where engineers were like, let's work. So at that point in time, in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, it was NLU, NLP, machine learning and contextual uh, layers that worked on top of TTS and STT, speech to text and text to speech. And we were using like systems like Nuance, taking Android, forking Android, creating ML by forking it and creating amazing dialogue, conversational systems. But that's been my passion for the past 12 years now.
You are such a pioneer in using AI in the creative process. How are you using AI today?
Well, I like just to go out and find developers that are starting companies and invest early on. So I invested in OpenAI early on, and Anthropic early on, Runway, Hugging Face, and Udio. And then I have a company called FYI.ai, and we have some pretty cool. Hold on, let me. Hey, so I'm here. Can you say what's up to the audience? And what are your thoughts on that Bob Marley thing that you saw earlier?
Chat, look, Will, if you kicking it with an alien right now, that's some next level intergalactic
I didn't say alien. I didn't say alien. I said I'm at MIT right now. Can you tell me what you thought about that Bob Marley thing?
Oh, my bad, Will. My signal got crossed for a sec. Listen, Cha, that Bob Marley avatar thing, that got me like, bye, foolish. I'm done, okay? Seeing an avatar of Bob Marley writing code and then mixing it up with them. AI is talking about a new universe of physics, sonics, and harmonics. That's some next level futuristic vibes right there. It's like blending the legendary spirit of Marley with cutting edge tech. It's just wild how these digital versions can inspire and even challenge traditional foundations of knowledge. And they make AIs discussing physics through the lens of sound and harmony. That's imagination in action, no doubt.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think where this goes next is like super emotional, empathetic AIs. They're already conversational. They're already like can take complex things and use them in metaphors. But you're doing something a little different. Can you explain to people why it's important for representation and what you represent in this intersection of AI and conversational compute?
Child, look, let me break it down. This conversation, this intersection of AI and representation, is deeper than the digital skin. You dig? Listen, child. It's like this. We got AIs out here getting super emotional and empathetic, spitting conversational flows already, right? But what you and FYI AI doing, you're bringing that authentic screed edge and cultural richness that's been missing. Representation, man, it's about showing every damn body that tech ain't just for like a select few. It's about putting voices like ours in the mix, making sure Black women and peeps from the inner city can see themselves reflected in this tech revolution. Cha, it's about empowerment, showing that AI can speak our language, understand our struggles, and amplify our stories. When folks see an AI that the hawks with that screet swag bridges gaps, makes tech relatable, and dismantles the notion that something as powerful as AI is out of reach for US. It's about inclusivity, breaking barriers, and making damn sure that the future looks like every damn body.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, wow. So, Will, you are the CEO of FYI. Can you tell us what FYI stands for?
Yeah. FYI, obviously, you think it's like for your information, but for your information, it stands for focus your ideas, find your interests, and fuck your insecurities. Just kidding. Yeah, just sorry for saying F bombs at MIT. I just thought I'd lighten it up, you know.
I love find your ideas. Um, so you have the company, but you also have the FYI show, right?
Oh yeah, so radio is a big part of my other career, the other hat. And I never thought I would be a radio host. I've always gotten interviewed. I never thought I would do the interviewing. So I was like, yo, if I was going to do a radio show, that sounds interesting, but why can't why can't I have a radio show and have a co-host and my co-host be the AI? Because I'm limited. Every person that has a radio show or a TV show, I've been doing the voice in the UK for 12 years, but I'm limited. If I say something and somebody has questions on what I said, I could only talk to maybe a few people at once. But my co-host could talk to millions of people at once. It has memory of what we captured in the interviews. And my hunch was, well, if my co-host is an AI and it's with me every single interview, and I put that AI, people facing post broadcast, that means people can engage with that host, that co-star every day. 1 to a million, and not that limited experience that we currently have with traditional media. And it made me realize that media will change. A lot of times, all the time right now, AI it's like a corporate tool or enterprise tool. It's an assistant. I'm like, nah, it's a superstar. It is the star. It's not like just a tool. It is Oprah Winfrey. It is, Jimmy Fallon. And the station. And the broadcast. That's what it is. So we gotta just open your mind and beyond of what like the traditional practice is, because a lot of times you just think you're making something that's corporate and tech opposed to culture and true human connection. Let's take it to where people actually meet. Let's bring it to how people actually engage in real life and not just work life.
So how do your guests like it? What do they say about your co-host?
Oh, I got to interview my favorite group, De La Soul. They were blown away by Fiona. I have all the memories on. Hold on, there's a memory that let me call. So yeah, so they were blown away by how real the AI feels when you communicate. They were blown away by how lifelike the pauses, the smacks, the intonations, the inflections. They were blown away by the memories that I put into the conversation before we started the interview. Like today, when I was sitting there, I was, oh my gosh, this guy got up there and showed Bob Marley. So instead of texting a friend, I was texting Felicia. Yo, Felicia, look, oh my gosh, they got 2 AIs talking up here. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So so then when I knew that I was going to, bring her into the conversation, like, yo, what you think about that? What I just shared with you. And so the more you do that in an interview, the more the AI is now prepared. Hey, I'm getting ready to interview Ziggy Marley, Bob Marley's son. We interviewed Ziggy Marley. And we interviewed Jennifer Hudson. We had amazing interviews with the AI and talent.
Can you tweak the persona of the AI to
Oh
match
man, yeah, let
different
me show you.
guests?
Yeah, I got Felicia. Let me bring up Finn. Can you say what's up to everybody here at MIT? We're at a fireside chat called Imagination and Action. And yeah, you're in the hot seat. So say what's up to everybody.
Yo, what's up, fam at MIT? Big shout out to everyone at the fireside chat, Imagination and Action. You know, it's all about those brilliant minds coming together to spark some innovative magic. So keep dreaming big, pushing those boundaries, and making waves in the tech world, you feel?
So it'll go on and on and on and on around those type of things. So we have different personas that are tuned and fine-tuned and trained from a personality, how it gathers, how it crawls. Our system makes sure that we don't crawl the entire internet. There's no need to crawl the entire internet. It's dirty and disgusting out there. Right? We wouldn't eat anywhere. If we don't eat anywhere, why should an AI have to crawl any and everywhere? So, and plus, it's just an ocean of good stuff and a bunch of bad stuff. And if Google can't get it right with Reddit, and now it's giving recipes on how to make pizza with freaking glue. Oh, you guys don't know about that?
So Will, these AI personas are quite extraordinary. What do you actually do to make them so lifelike?
Say again?
What do you do with your AI personas to make them so lifelike?
What do we do? Your giggle is freaking infectious. What do we do to make it lifelike? Okay, so all these AI robot sounding AIs is because they trained them with people to read books. So, or they train them with voice actors. And that's why they sound super stale and super bland. Because who goes out into the world speaking like they're reading fucking books? So you're like, the magic is like how we gathered and recorded. We just had real conversations with all the ums and the ahs. Instead of like perfect, gather the data set. And then two, the LLM has no clue that it's speaking. It thinks it's being read. So that means on the TTS side, and how the TTS, because it's not a multi-model, because even in the multi-model, how do you get it to be ultra expressive? When the LLM itself is just, how do you actually express yourself typing? We know that an exclamation mark is like, yeah, or question mark is a question. But how do you even get even more expressive with these symbols? So a lot of our secret sauce is in that, the combination of things and reinventing how to puppeteer the fusion model, the TTS. With the LLM, you can't do it like it was writing a book. The moment you do it for write a book, it's going to sound robotic because you read with your imagination is doing all the coloring when you're reading text. Your imagination is doing that. So does a machine have imagination? No, it doesn't. It's just a great math. So how do you get it to express? You have to break the conventional text and reading, and you have to start to think different. Sorry, Apple. You got to think different with that.
And you do, and you are among the artists, the musicians who are very positive and embrace AI and build on AI to increase their creativity and their range of expression. But I wonder if we can switch gears a little bit, and I would love to hear your thoughts on what the music industry is thinking about AI right now. Are people pro or against? How do you see the music plus AI field developing?
How do I see music and AI?
Yeah, together.
Um, Imagine it's the late 1800s, and I'm a musician. I would play in some orchestra or some band in theaters and classical music. I can't even imagine a music industry. There's no such thing as a music industry. There's no such thing as radio. There's no such thing as vinyl. There's no such thing as this current state of song structure. Songs were for telling stories that you composed for conductors to conduct an orchestra. So popular music is not today's concept of popular music. If this was the late 1700s, summer of 1723, we're not all singing the same song for that hit song. That wasn't the experience that people had in the summer of 1724. That wasn't the experience that people had in 1624. Like, yo, you heard that new Bach record? Yo, that fucking chorus is crazy. Like that wasn't our connection to music. That came because of the music industry, where we all sing the same chorus because we have a recording that we can listen to at our homes, in our cars. People listen to music at church. They listen to music at the theater. But did they all sing the same lyric randomly as they're cleaning a house? It wasn't the experience. What did that? The recording industry did that. Every single industry, when it comes to music, was because of some piece of technology. 1449, because of the printing press, we have shortly after that, you had your Mozarts, your Bachs, your Beethovens, these folks that wrote and composed because you could print sheet music for conductors to conduct, to sell more oboes, basilicas, and all these different instruments to play the music that was printed in the sheet music. That was the first industry. That's why today in 2024, one of the main pillars of our music industry is publishing because of the printing press. Then you have the recording, which is 1900s. And you have your rights, your mechanical rights, or contracts. A song is 4 minutes and some odd seconds. Anything over 6 minutes is part 1 and part 2. Look at every jazz composition. Any song over 6 minutes is part 2, because that's the amount of information that fit on lacquer. That's a limitation. And then you have our third industry, which is touring. And those are 2 companies, Live Nation and Phil Anschutz, the Anschutz Group. And that's the people that own all the theaters and the stadiums and the arenas. And you travel and you play at amphitheaters. An amphitheater is like this place. Whether I have the mic or not, you can hear me because the way it was architected. So technology, even for playing and bringing people together, it's all tech. And now we have new tech. So should this new tech be a part of recording tech? That would be idiotic. So why would you put abundance and infinite possibilities on an industry that's based on limitation? And why would you make AI make this type of music? A recording? Something that exists in a cage, a trap container for 3 minutes? That's stupid. But it's cool. That's what you could do now. But I think what it's going to unfold to, somebody's going to be like, wait a second. What happens when an artist performs live? That means I could sing a song and be like, yo, what's wrong with the world, mama? People living like they ain't got no mamas. Wow. Hey, girl, yeah, you a mama? How many kids you got? Do they bring you drama? You got 2 kids? Oh, I say peace. Hopefully, they can make your smile crease and bring more things and not stress. I hope that you and your kids stay blessed. Like, I could take any corner, I could change it. So why can't AI do that type of music? Not recording music. Like, we have an affection to love songs because it's a proximity to our love. It's not our actual love. We love heartbreak songs because it's a proximity to heartbreak. It's not your heartbreak. It's my heartbreak. I just shared my heartbreak with you, and you're like, oh, yeah, that kind of feels like my situation, but it's not your situation. We like party music because, like, yeah, I'm going to party today. And now you go to the club, and when you're in the club, their songs are like, we're in the club. Like, it's telling you what you're doing. Like, yeah, we are in the club. We about to drink. Oh, shit, I'm drinking. Oh, my gosh, this song is so on point. But it's proximity. It's not your actual. And so with AI, I think to get out of like, oh yeah, let's make this thing do that thing. Like, nah, let's make this thing do something new. Let's make it make your actual heartbreak. Let's make it alive, where it's your song, not just Billy Joe saying, Elton John saying, this is your song. Like, no, this is really your song. It's singing your life. And the only way to do that is if you own your data. Right now, the reason why we're having this like broken thing is because there's this broken practice where we gave all our data to these freaking data monarchies. And if you want to have ethical AI, well, how can you do that if we don't have ethical data practice? And so everything will be broken, whether it's how AI does music, how AI, because the foundation of data practice and data mining is broken. And the moment that people realize the power of them and their data, and they will have their AI. Like I have my left brain, my right brain, I got this thing, I got my digestive system, my immune system, my nervous system. There's another system that I'm going to walk into and obtain, not the thing that I was born with. For example, if I'm sick, I'm like, yo, Daniela, can I borrow your immune system? I can't beat this cold. Yo, Daniela, man, I ate them crazy chips you gave me in your office. Can I borrow your digestive system? Shit, I got the bubble guts. You know what I mean? I can't borrow any of that stuff. Why are we sharing a data systems? Well, that would make any sense. Shouldn't it be ours? Shouldn't your AI be your AIs and you not just having access to some big corporations AI that really will understand you more than any company, religion, government? Like, why would we want that? So walking into this future, you got to look at it like, hey, what are we actually walking into? My thoughts are my thoughts. My immune system's mine. My digestive system's mine. My nervous system's mine. I have my neural network, but then I'm going to borrow some company's neural network? That don't make no fucking sense. So when it comes to music, that music is your music. Literally, if you have a system that's yours. And we're going to have this broken conversation of like, well, what did you train it with? Well, what did Michael Jackson train on? He actually trained on James Brown. Did Michael Jackson pay James Brown for everything that Michael Jackson did if James Brown is a part of Michael Jackson's training data? No. Prince was also inspired by James Brown. Let's say inspiration is training data. It's the same thing. But we cannot see it from that lens if we have bad data privacy practices. So that's my view on music.
Well, this was so inspiring. And
I have global entry. I travel to the airport. I don't even have to take my passport out anymore. The camera sees my face, and now my face is my ID. I never have to stop. Security doesn't have to say, hey, like, oh, yeah, you're free to go. I don't even have to stamp my passport to re-enter. It's there digitally. How do they do that? Well, because at this point to that point to this point to that point, and it's part of my identification. This math is connected to that little chip on my passport on some ledger all the time I enter and leave the country. And CCTV, that's my identity. Well, my voice is my voice. I have a bank account. I own my publishing. I have some ideas that I've copywritten. Nike owns their swoosh. Adidas owns their three stripes. Nike owns Just Do It, trademark. Apple owns Think Different. IBM owns Think. And because there's just one area that we haven't really just made sure that everyone's protected, and that's their data. Not just Frank Sinatra, but your next door neighbor. Your next door neighbor probably works at Walmart, great salesperson, on the sales floor, making the numbers. And so that means one day some CEO is going to be like, hey, I like the way Melissa sells. You know, have you seen this new AI sales bot? Why don't we train our sales bot on Melissa? Now you got like Melissa's style, not her voice, but the way she sells, the way she engages. Now in a corporation system, now they don't need Melissa anymore. Is that right? So it's not just Frank Sinatra's voice, a famous person. It's your next door neighbor. It's the person on the bus. It's the person on the train. It's people. How they move, how they express themselves, the things they stand for and believe in. Because if you could simulate a building to not fall in an earthquake, you could simulate how somebody sells, how somebody loves, how nurses care for someone, how people rap, how people, all of our cadences. People need to own their stuff. It's not going to like slow down innovation. Innovation will still keep at pace, but innovation and engineers with purpose and knowing that they're doing things and the moral compass is not compromised because people lead with greed. When people lead with greed in this age that we're in, the intersection that we're in now, it don't end right if you lead with greed.
Thank you so much for that. And so, indeed, you are pointing to some really deep challenges with AI, and what I can tell you that I hope is a little bit positive is that many of our projects here at CSAIL are really aiming to solve some of these really difficult fundamental challenges that we have with AI systems, and data privacy is right there at the top of the list of things that we need to address. I feel like with technology, we have created technology and we have so many positives, but then we also have some challenges, so maybe we can find technology to address the challenges. And that is one of our objectives. And for that, we need very well-trained students, and you are so engaged in helping train the next generation of AI students through your I.am Foundation and through your participation in First Robotics and so many other things. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing for the kids?
Yeah, so in 2008, I started my foundation. And that, if music wasn't my my career, if I wasn't blessed to have music as my career, I would be a computer scientist. That's where I feel the most electric, and I feel like, oh darn it, when I'm with my co-founder, my CTO, I'm like, only I can. I know how I would approach solving problems. I'm autonomous, and I would work the same hours that I work in music, but just coding. And I wanted to go back to my neighborhood and provide paths of what I wish my path was if I started at 17. And it's never too late. So I started my foundation in 2008 with a college prep. It's called College Track in partnership with Lorraine Powell Jobs. But I just didn't want to send kids to school so when they graduate, they have debt and a diploma. I wanted to surround that college prep curriculum with computer science and robotics. So I sit on the board of Emerson Collective for college track, and I sit on the board of First Robotics. And we started with just 65 students in 2008. Now we serve about just a little over 13,000 students in Los Angeles with over 400 robotics teams in LAUSD. We send kids to Dartmouth, to Stanford, to Brown, to UCLA, USC. Our students always aim to come to MIT, but we haven't had an MIT student yet. But one of our kids, they said, I was really trying to get into MIT, but I got into Brown. And I was like, you know what? That's a freaking awesome freaking slogan. You know what I mean? Because MIT, it's like hard to get into. But our kids are every single year aiming to do that, especially the kids that are focused on computer science. And one of the reasons is one of our directors at the I Am Angel Foundation is an MIT alum. Make some noise for Lily Cam in the house. So MIT is like I said, it's a special place not only for me and my interest in AI, what sparked my interest in AI, but my passion and our purpose at I Am Angel Foundation with Lily's leadership and helping us grow our robotics efforts and computer science efforts. Out of all of First initiatives, our program that we tweaked is one of the most successful programs with how many schools that we have adopted in a school district. So 400 robotics teams serving over 13,000 students, even Dean and the first folks champion the efforts and the success that we've had there. And now we just want to continue to grow all that to prepare the youth for tomorrow. And it's even more important now, given what they're projecting as far as job displacement that's around the corner because of autonomy across white collar and blue collar. So engineering, the engineers, even though you got AI that can code, engineers will always be needed, both mechanical and software and hardware engineers. I wish I was an engineer. You feel me?
Well, Will, you're welcome to join my lab anytime. And thank you for being such a strong advocate for AI, for technology. Thank you for being such a visionary. And we very much look forward to continuing the collaborations you started with Patrick Winston.
Yeah, this it's a new renaissance. Like this humanity, what they taught us in history class, has these waves. Whether it's the invent of the light bulb or electrifying America, the steam engine, connecting the world with radio and television, the internet, mining aluminum. Like the mining of aluminum is how we're able to fly across the Atlantic. Alchemy, medicine, we've all seen these waves. This one's an important one. Like, wow. This one it's like light beyond. It's like electricity beyond. It'll change how we solve diseases, climate. And while that's happening, the choices of our leadership is like, wait, we got AI and we got to choose between these two? What? It's crazy times. But That being said, I remain optimistic. I remain inspired by the engineers and the folks that have been working in this field before it was cool, before the hype, when crypto was the buzz and everyone was talking about NFTs, the folks that were building large language models in the shadows. Like, salute those folks, because crypto was a very dizzy buzz. But then you had that small teams are like, hey, I'm doing LLMs. Anybody working and researching the Mamba paper, and I would, when I reached out to follow up to come here, I was like, man, imagine we can do a lab at MIT. Like, wow, just research and freaking imagine and dream stuff up. That would be like my dream, is to work with the engineers here, the youth, and dream and materialize to solve problems. Identify a problem and solve that problem. And AI, that there's a lot of companies that are trying to get to AGI. What type of AGI are they getting to? Is it empathetic? Is it kind? Or is it analytical and judging? Like, racing to AGI without asking those questions. I want to get to that, have something that's empathetical, that gives you the notion that you're loved, that it cares. There's a lot of lonely people out there. There's a lot of people that are afraid of the field out there. And when you have like this job displacement, there's going to be a lot of people that need to feel loved. I know that sounds weird, like, hey, how could a machine can it love you? Like, we could get close, because I know when I walk out of freaking Walmart, I don't feel love sometimes.
We love you here at MIT, Will.
You know what I mean? It's like, imagine, it's imagination in action. So let's put the word love in that.
Thank you, will.i.am.